David has a wealth of experience in the Caribbean providing BPO services and has seen that evolution of the dream and the evolution of the tools that are enabling the dream. So David, maybe share your experiences with us on how those tools are enabling. Give us some examples as well.
My foundation came through looking through that window, swimming across the river to a place called American Express. I spent a decade with American Express, and they were my foundation. And I ran operations as well as worked on data and Genesis, which was the biggest program that American Express had in the late 1980s going into 1990s to kind of create a close AI before anybody else was working on it. As far as the Caribbean is concerned, I got to tell you all that, first of all, we were the first in Honduras. I think you didn't mention us, but I will mention us. We picked Honduras, the very first BPO to go into San Pedro Sula. And I will tell you, it is very difficult to convince a client to go to Honduras, to go to El Salvador, to go to Guatemala. You all need to do more work on advertising why it is a great place. And I think we're all here to be able to try to accomplish that. For me, starting KM Squared 20 years ago, from 20 years ago to today, we've grown every single year. Despite the fact that we had 2008, we had disruptors of COVID. We also had cyber attacks, which are the new disruptors. So they live with us today. I selected St. Lucia. Even though everybody was going to Jamaica, Jamaica is a great place to do business. It has got a population of over 2 to 2.5 million people. St. Lucia is idyllic. It is a beautiful, what do they call it in St. Lucia? It's heaven that is kind of hidden. It is a magnificent country, small. But for me, there were no competitors. There were no other BPOs. And for me, I look at a resource pool. One of the reasons I picked San Pedro Sula is because I went into the high schools and spoke to the agents. Agents spoke perfect English. I absolutely agree with the previous speaker on Honduras. It's incredible what they have done, but they've done it through their own educational system. St. Lucia, Barbados, and Grenada. They have probably about mid-90 literacy rate, and it's incredible. I don't even want to tell you what it is here in the U.S. How do they speak? Well, when you meet a St. Lucian and they're talking to their friends, they're speaking in patois, which I can't understand. But when you put them on the telephone, it's the Queen's English. It's magnificent. Do I need AI to kind of take away that accent? Sorry, no. It's one of the reasons my very first client, AOL, started with us. When they heard that accent, they said, okay, you've got 15 agents. We now need 50. We now need 100. We now need 300. You guys are doing great. But the most important thing is our members are having a great experience. That's what you want out of a BPO. Now, that's why I selected the Caribbean, because 2 years later, we're in Barbados. Now, Barbados is a little different. We had 2 or 3 other competitors, but we had a big enough country, it was bigger than St. Lucia in population, that we're able to grow to where we wanted to. And thirdly, we moved into Grenada. We didn't pick the capital this time. We picked up Grenville, which is a small little town, about an hour and a half of a very tough taxi ride all the way to get there. But the agents have been with me now for 18 years, 16 to 18 years. They don't leave. The attrition rates are practically zero. The attendance is 100% all the time. We just opened up our newest center in St. George's in Grenada. We find Grenada to be a great place to do business. We have a new center that has got 500 agents, and we've already booked the center for 500 agents from 3 other current clients that we have. So for me, the Caribbean, especially where I am right now, has been sensational. It's kind of helped us rise to, like I said before, the largest BPO, privately held company in the nearshore arena.
Kishman, the experience that you've had, you talked about the importance of building that confidence and maintaining the link between exactly what your customers are looking for. Share with us the tools that you've really harnessed in Jamaica, in your practice and across the wider Caribbean to really serve your clients.
I'll share a little bit about what we've done in Jamaica. I'm with KPMG in Jamaica, and we have a very unique story to share. For well over 20 years, the Jamaican story has been very heavy in the BPO contact center space. And 8 years ago, KPMG in Jamaica went off to a meeting just across the river, trying to get the US firm to buy this crazy idea of doing audit work for its client in Jamaica. And the meeting went horribly wrong, and they were not successful. And in the entrepreneurs they kind of said, well, given you don't want us to be auditors, is there anything else we could do? And the US firm said, well, we do payroll in India, and it's not going awfully right. Do you guys think that's something you could do? Being the entrepreneurs they said, absolutely. We know how to do that. And they put their hand up on a pilot, somewhere between 5 and 10 team members doing payroll, which was really kind of reshoring closer to the US, this payroll function. And while that pilot was going on, a couple other shared service in HR said, well, if you're going to do a pilot, let's stick a couple of heads in there in HR operations. And so 20 team members in Jamaica got started 8 years ago, supporting the largest member firm within the KPMG network, responsible for well over half of the global revenue within the KPMG conglomerate, so to speak. And that pilot went so incredibly well with the people that were part of that program that fast forward to today, the team in Jamaica, who are a captive center set up by the KPMG Jamaica partnership that serve one client only, KPMG US. Today, 730 people were projected to be at 800 by the end of September, doing 93 discrete middle and back office functions for the US firm. So we don't have a contact center business going. What do? We do everything from your HR operations, your financial accounting centers, risk management, data science, project management, proposal writing, talent acquisition, learning and development, strategic sourcing and procurement. I could go on and on. There are 93 discrete processes. Why have we been successful? Part of why we've been successful is we started as number 3, and so we tried harder. KPMG has 3 global delivery centers for its shared service operation. Mexico, India, and 8 years ago, the newest kids on the block, Jamaica. And Jamaica was a place the US firm, they vacationed. You come to have some rum and sea, sand, and sun. We were nobody. And the attitude we went in with is because we're number 3, we're going to try this thing harder. And what that meant is we were willing to learn from anybody. So we said, oh, India's doing a good thing. How can we copy this and make it better? Folks in Mexico are doing something. And that's just been a part of the entrepreneurial learning DNA. That's part of what we do for them. And I'll tell you, today, the center in Jamaica is now the largest delivery center for KPMG US globally. We've now grown bigger than Mexico, we've grown bigger than India. Not only are we bigger, the US firm now, for many of its vacancies, they'll do a competitive posting. So they need a data scientist and they'll say, Mexico, Jamaica, India. Simultaneously, you guys go to market, who gets it first win? We are finding ourselves beating, large centers like India, where you'd think, India is where you go for tech and scaling. And we're finding we're landing those roles in Jamaica for KPMG faster than our counterparts. How are we on cost? We certainly are better than Mexico on cost, and we're about on par. There's no material cost difference between us and India. It's a very unique set of the market in terms of skill set that we've targeted. Almost all of our hires are people with a college degree. We have a path for people who have just left college, who we're going to give you the skills to be successful. And we have a professional track where we're looking for people who have had industry experience. And we're now going to take you, and on day one, you start contributing. And so, that's been a little bit of the secret sauce of, why we are successful with our people and how we're driving that.
Now, Lynda, getting into the conversation, you have a long career in driving foreign investment in regions across the entire world, and right now focusing on the Caribbean. What would you say you've observed in the region that investors need to be aware of in terms of attracting them to the region and nearshoring?
In regards to relationships in the Caribbean, I believe in working in the Caribbean now for over 8 years, and over 18 years in foreign direct investment. I believe that the ecosystem is in place to establish valuable relationships throughout the Caribbean. But you really have to know how to navigate the system, how to navigate the process. And this involves, of course, we all know, in every Caribbean country, nation, there's an investment promotion agency. If you contact the investment promotion agency, there's an investment rep, such as myself, working this role, that is there to help you navigate the ecosystem, as mentioned, and establish those relationships for you. And this includes relationships as a potential investor. You might be looking at industry. So you might want to meet with the Davids of the world and other EPOs and learn about the successes, the good, the bad, the ugly of being in market and establishing a new operation. You might want to meet with academia and meet with the heads of different programs, different departments, for example, in the University of West Indies. And they always look for opportunities to develop relationships with potential investors. You might want to start a course and hire directly from that course. So those are just a couple of examples. And then there's also multipliers. So you might want to meet with the chambers who really have the pulse on what's going on with the companies that have set up and are successful, why some of them might not be successful. And then you want to meet with also government. And so if you're a clean tech company and you want to set up an operation, you might want to meet with the minister of the different departments to help you. But you don't have to do this yourself. And that's the point that I'd like to put across, that the investment promotion agencies are there as a free service offered by the government to establish these relationships for you. And you're not alone. And it's a big deal to set up a new operation. And we're there to help you make it successful. So please tap into somebody like myself with Invest Barbados. I'll give Barbados a plug here because I'm living my best life with Barbados, but also throughout the Caribbean. It's just a wonderful place to set up a new establish a new entity, a new company.
How are you seeing the need for physical space changing and evolving?
This is one of the areas where life has been better because of the pandemic. In January 2020, the prevailing view of our delivery center, then a 4-year-old center, was that 100% of work needed to happen in office, and we needed one seat for every employee. And by the time we got to May 2020, 100% of our team members were delivering from home. And so we had that wake-up call for about a year, and it radically changed our view on how we think of real estate and what we need. Today, we have 420 physical workstations, and that's going to support us up to 1,200 employees. We have no desire for more real estate at this point. And so today, with that, maybe about less than 5% of our team members do work that has a security level that requires them to come into the office. For 95% of our team members, they do hybrid work. So we have Having explored 100% at home, 100% in the office, we think the sweet spot is hybrid work. And so today, our team members, depending on a number of factors, including performance, can determine how much time you spend in office. So naturally, if you have new work, if you have work that is problematic, you're going to spend a lot of time in office. So you want an incentive to spend less time commuting to work, make sure your team performance is great. And it's amazing how when you give people that autonomy and empowerment, and so speaking of autonomy, we don't pick the days that teams come in. What we pick is the ratio. So you're on a team and your team has a 15% in office ratio. Who picks the day? Teams picks the day when they come in. They all have to come in together, and that's when we really see the value of teaming, driving engagement. The value of the team is more than the addition of what each team member brings. When you have a harmonious team, that drives so much of improvement. It's a multiplier effect on what they can achieve.
David, in your experience and the type of services and the types of clients that you're serving in BPO, what are their expectations on hybrid work versus in office?
Well, yes, when March 2020 hit, it took us, about 10 days, and we had 100% of all of our agents working from home. That has changed since we passed COVID. Everybody is back in all the facilities. What I would also say is that most of that is really being driven by my clients. Personally, I like working from home because that means I need less capacity. That means less CapEx. But no, they want them in the sites. And every time they have attrition here in the US, they keep adding to the pool of resources that we provide for them within the facility. That's the trend I've seen so far, and I think it's going to continue. There are hybrids, work schedules, but those will slowly change as time goes on. How do you really know someone? Is it just based upon their KPIs? How do you know their leadership? How do you know how well they get together with their teammates if everything is on Zoom? Yes, I grew up in American Express and Citibank. For me, it's the team physically together that really understands who's the next supervisor, who needs to go to our quality assurance group because they're so specific and great on the accuracies that they deal with. You can't get that out of Zoom, from my perspective. So I'm kind of happy that they're all in the facilities. That just means I have to use more CapEx and find more facilities for them.